Well, good afternoon and welcome to Referee's Corner here on IslandStats.com. I'm your host, Earl Beeston, and joining me is none other than two highly esteemed people within CONCACAF refereeing. We have with us Dave Miko, who is the CONCACAF refereeing manager, and Rohan Thorburn, who is a CONCACAF referee fitness instructor. Gentlemen, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining. You two are no strangers to Bermuda. But Dave, give us an assessment of how things have been for the referees in CONCACAF for this year alone.
Thanks, Earl, for having me, and thanks for the welcome. Good afternoon to all your listenership, and of course, good afternoon to Ruan as well. Well, over the last year or two, refereeing in CONCACAF has in general has been growing steadily. As you can see from the World Cup level, we had several teams both at the senior senior men's World Cup as well as the senior women's World Cup. So, yeah, from that perspective, there has been tangible growth in refereeing across CONCACAF.
Mm-hmm. And is it a sense that we're still trying to play catch up? When I say play catch up, we've seen Mexicans, we've seen from the Spanish speaking countries a lot more doing the officiating. Now it's like the English speaking in CONCACAF I'm talking about is starting to catch up in that regard. Do you see that?
Okay, so I can answer from two fronts, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can be specific in terms of the Caribbean,
Yes.
right? Um, where we still have a lot more work to be done in refereeing. But needless to say, we have made some inroads. We have been making inroads. We have been making improvements,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, yes, we are still behind in terms of the Mexicans. And if you look at their league, their setup, it's much higher than our setup here in the Caribbean. Certainly,
Mm-hmm.
we will not be able to measure up in terms of the professional setup that currently exists in Mexican football, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that we are trying to, get going in the Caribbean, where the setup right now is not as professional as it should be.
Mm. And Rohan, for you, obviously, you work a lot on fitness, um, but you do other things with regard to helping officials progress and meet their goals of becoming, FIFA ARs or FIFA referees. But the fitness side, um, how important is it for for officials to be in somewhat shape by the time they get to you because you're the person putting the final touches on it. How difficult is it, going around CONCACAF and getting different level officials in different fitness spaces?
So in each country in the CONCACAF region, there is a fitness personnel, a fitness trainer, fitness instructor that should be
Mm,
putting the referees through their paces. Um, Also, a basic generic program is sent out by the FIFA instructors, fitness instructors, on a monthly basis to help guide their as a guide for the referees. But one has to understand that each referee is responsible for their own development,
mhm,
and it is not solely on the fitness instructor only. So each person needs to know what area they need to work on and know their strengths to maintain it. And hence, in their spare time, because let's face it, it's not going to be easy. It's not, as you mentioned earlier, it's not a professional environment like in Mexico, where you
mhm,
are only focused on training and games. especially here in the Caribbean, persons have to go to work and then train after.
Mhm.
So persons have to ensure that that time is found to work on their own to help continue their development. So hence, when they come to probably the rap courses or particular other courses, then we will observe and see other things and make the recommendation on the pathway up.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Dave, we've seen CONCACAF and FIFA, for that matter, put a lot of more money into countries for development of the game. Um, how much more funding would you like to see go into to the officials? I see you smiling because you got to be very careful how you answer that.
This is a okay. So the MAs, have to really try to put more money in refereeing. Um, what we find happening is that a lot of money is pumped to develop the other aspects of the game,
Hmm.
but little or none is spent in the area of refereeing.
Yeah.
Right? So the MAs really have to be more responsible in that regard. Not that they don't, but they do. They do spend, as far as I know, especially if the heads of refereeing in the MAs present a good budget and show how in terms of returns on investment on the MA's money. Once
Hmm.
they can prove that, then you know I think the MAs will pump more money. Yeah, but obviously, yeah, more money is needed in to be pumped into refereeing. You know, not a lot of countries, as I said before, do that. You
Hmm.
know, and if that happens, then that would lessen the challenges somewhat.
Could we possibly see down the road a what we would call a full time referee group for CONCACAF that will possibly be going from I guess island to island, country to country to officiate even domestic games, only because right now we have a lot of our officials that are on the FIFA list. They do the Nations League, they do World Cup qualifiers and all of that, but then they go back to their jobs and they do that. But there's a lot of footballers that are full time that just do football. Do you see down the line we could just have a group of officials that just do that full time?
That is something that is always on the burner. Certainly, we tried it in the past where
Hmm.
I think we reached where we actually assembled names of individuals.
Oh wow, okay.
You know, but that was as far as it reached. So yeah, so an effort was made to do that. I know some countries from time to time invite match officials, and it used to happen a lot in the past as well,
Hmm.
where there was a lot of exchange between countries.
Yes.
But this is something that the countries have to sit down and discuss with each other. They have to, work out the details with each other because this is something. This is like a cost sharing. So if Bermuda sends referees to Barbados for argument's sake,
Hmm.
then something needs to be worked out in terms of who is responsible for accommodation, who is
Hmm.
responsible for payments of refereeing,
Right.
stuff like that. That needs to be worked out among the MAs themselves.
Hmm.
To do that.
Yeah, well, we
CONCACAF
see that a lot.
has
We see that a lot in
CONCACAF
Bermuda
has
right
a
now.
refereeing academy. Pardon me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I was
We see.
saying CONCACAF has a refereeing academy which
Oh, okay.
pulls referees from across the region, and
Hmm.
they get to officiate in the various tournaments planned by CONCACAF. but the MAs can do some more in terms of having inter-MA dialogues, a dialogue
Mhm.
with between the MAs to work out development programs like this.
Oh, but we see that a lot happening right now in Bermuda, where our head of referee Cranston Williams has a lot of influence in getting officials from other islands, other countries to come down and help us out because we're very short. But Rohan, let me ask a question that reflects to what Dave was just saying. If we were to have full time officials, what level of fitness do you think would have to go into it to ensure that, because they'll be traveling so much, and plus still have to put in the work and still have to officiate? So what level of fitness are we looking at? Because football's played right now all year round.
So you have to aim for the highest level. You
Mm,
have to be ready at all times. Just like the FIFA officials in the various countries. When FIFA or CONCACAF calls upon them to officiate, they have to turn up in
mhm,
a tip-top shape to ensure that they service the game so at the best level that they have. So
mm,
we always have to strive to be at the best that we can be.
mm, mm. And the last time you was here, Rohan, how do you think? Well, we have an abundance of youth referees. We're struggling at the
Yes.
senior level. Um, where do you see, or how do you measure um, the fitness work for the youth referees? Only because some of them are still so young and doing matches, and they have aspirations of doing senior matches. So how do you balance that out when it comes to, especially to the fitness side of what you do for Bermuda?
So as it relates to the youngsters, remember they are young and enthusiastic and want to do well, but we have to measure them, manage them, so to speak. That you there's no way we can be giving them the same drills and all of these things as we do to the senior persons. We have to be gradual in terms of how we expose them to particular things so that they develop along that line and
Mhm,
gradually get from various levels. Compared to the senior persons that are there, they are expected to be at a particular level. So
mhm,
you go in their training session with the knowledge that yes, they are at this level, so there are particular drills you can aim for to help them improve just the same. But
mhm,
it's at a higher level. But we have to be gradual and timely with the youngsters.
definitely, definitely. Dave, you were here, I think, earlier this year. What were some of the things you took away from what you saw this time around, as opposed to the last time you was in Bermuda?
uh, yeah, I know, I know it has been very, very challenging in Bermuda in terms of retaining match officials, recruiting and retaining match officials. I know right now the bulk of the refereeing force is at a very young age.
Hmm.
But what I see differently now is that a lot of these youngsters who are now on the scene are highly enthusiastic. They are very pumped up in terms of making refereeing, a good optional, what you call it, uh, occupation, so to speak,
Right.
right? An attractive occupation. So that has changed in terms of the enthusiasm.
Hmm.
More persons know, even though what needs to be done is to ensure that they are not subjected to, the abuse, the wanton abuse that seems to follow in officiating. And I know once you become a referee, you are vulnerable to abuse.
We'll continue and we'll
Yeah,
be back on.
physical. So this is something that we need to once we're
Okay, he could be having trouble with his internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just picking up where um, Dave was talking, because I've had several talks with the head of refereeing in Bermuda, Mr. Williams, and we often talked about um, the troubles of officiating, all around the Caribbean, not just in Bermuda, but we have some 12 and 13-year-olds who are now doing senior league games, and
Yeah.
having to make sure that the clubs protect these young people when they come to the grounds, because they're coming to do them to get their game played, as opposed to the game not being played. But it's one of those things where we have to protect these young people, and adults need to understand that. Listen, your behavior, if you're upset about something, stay home, stay away from the game. Try not to bring your bad influence to the game, because we need these young people. Not only are they considered players, but they're considered officials as well, and that's the important part of it.
That's so true because look at it. Would there be a game without a referee?
Not
What
at
would have
all.
happened?
Can't be official.
Is there any perfect game? Is there any
No,
perfect athlete?
no.
Exactly. The teams make mistakes, just like the referees. So why get
Mhm.
at the referees? You know what we do,
Yeah.
why we train? It's to minimize the mistakes that are made. One, and
Hmm.
eliminate the technical mistakes that are made.
Right. Right.
So we have a game that is flowing and everybody's happy. But it's a case where persons don't seem to be able to control their emotions
Hmm.
and and know when to or how to approach an official in asking questions. Because take for instance, look at this bright prospect that you have there, Dunstan.
Yes.
Why would someone want to go? That youngster is so enthused, he's so confident going out there. Why would persons want to go to him and break his level of confidence? No, encourage him. Even if he made a mistake, hey,
Mm.
I think you made this incorrect decision. Look at it next time going forward. Try not to make it. These sort of things, the
Hmm.
encouragement helps.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask Dave. Welcome back, Dave. Do we see this around CONCACAF, where we have youngsters filling in, helping to make sure matches are played, but the constant abuse that they face each and every week?
as I said earlier, unfortunately, I mean, at our level, it's not it's not pronounced. It's not in existence, so to speak. But certainly at the level of the well, first of all, you have the verbal part of it, which is
Hmm.
which is always there. So
Yes.
in CONCACAF, they have measures that they have um, you know established
Hmm.
in their competitions to deter abusive behavior by fans,
Hmm.
right? So that is there. So the what we don't see a lot of is a physical abuse. But
Hmm.
this exists a lot in the MAs.
Yes.
Exists a lot in the MAs, right? So we know in a lot of the MAs where you have you know match officials being attacked, you know. So these are things. Once the MA has the teeth to deal with these situations, then we'll
Hmm.
see incidents of these going away. But at the CONCACAF level, as I said, what we have to contend with is verbal, mainly verbal abuse. and the organization has policies in place which they have enacted on occasions to in an event in a bid to deter this ugly behavior.
Sure. Rohan, I know you deal with a lot of the fitness, but how important is it also for like a mental strength coach for officials? Because you can be as fit as you are if you want to be, but if things are not well for you mentally, it kind of offsets it, doesn't it?
Definitely, because there's fitness is twofold. It's the physical aspect and it's the mental aspect. Because if the mind is not mentally ready, then you're not going to be getting out there and doing well. So it's something I would support, and I will definitely ask for to have a mental coach for all referees. It is good to include that in your program. It can only help you to get better because guess what? A mentally strong referee always comes out on top in terms of the decision making and minimizing the amount of mistakes that are made in games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dave, have the around CONCACAF, have they looked at possibly having mental coaches to assist referees? Is that something that's been in the forefront before?
That is something that is being explored, and something that has happened at individual tournaments. That it has happened at individual tournaments where we have a psychologist comes in and does presentations to help to try and support the match officials in their decision making process. So yeah, but I dare say though it is a good concept to have a psychological coach, to assist the match officials, in the decision making process. It's very tough out there, and the match officials have to learn how to deal with situations. They have to deal with 22 emotional individuals on the pitch, plus those in the technical area, plus those in the stands, right? So they have to have the emotional intelligence to combat the different emotions. So they also have to contend with their own emotions, right? Because you can't react in an angry way, so to speak, in situations. So you have to be calm, So yes, it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to have to support the match officials at any level.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Williams. One more thing on your chart to get done, because he's watching. I know he's watching. So, but looking at what over the last few years, what Mr. Williams has been able to accomplish with match officials in Bermuda, getting people back onto the FIFA list and all of that. How much of an inspiration has he been for you guys to encourage other MEAs to replicate what he's been able to do?
Well, I've said it on many occasions, that we need head of referees with the energy of Mr. Williams. And so I was at a MEA the other day, trying to work out their structure, and they were saying, "Oh, we are so small." And I said, "Okay, you're a small MEA, but you want to have individuals on the FIFA panel. So we can't just grant you that wish just like that. You have to work. You have to put in the work." And oftentimes I use Bermuda as an example. I know Mr. Williams doesn't like it, but that's how it is. We have to use Bermuda as an example to really try to push the other MEAs who claim that who are small,
Mhm.
but yes, we can be small in our physicality, but that doesn't say we are to think small. We need to think big.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I know Mr. Williams is a big thinker. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I see Rohan laughing because I'm pretty sure one of the first times he met him, he was like, "What is this guy? Where's this guy going? What's the vision this guy has?" But since Rohan, you kind of come to know Mr. Williams and understand what his drive is and wanting to see more and more of the Bermuda officials on that FIFA list, only because it's a big accomplishment individually for them and also for the MA.
What a lot of persons don't understand with Cranston that I have understood, I have found out, is that he has the passion to do well.
Mhm.
Anything he's involved in, he wants it to be the best. All right. So it's no surprise that Bermuda is leading as it relates to refereeing development at this level. So
Mhm.
for me, if the FIFA persons there are the referees, senior referees that are there, takes this kind of passion and brings it into their game, into their training, it will help them develop themselves so that way when they get out onto the field, that level of officiating that they leave on that field will help
Mhm.
to propel them to the next level.
Sure, definitely. Well, gentlemen, I do want to thank you both for your time. Look forward to seeing you next time you're on the island. Giving that inspiration, giving that lift to our local officials. Um, we have one. I have one request, and I already know that the president of the Bermuda Football Association has been seen with a flag and a whistle. I just need to see Mr. Williams with a flag and a whistle and in action, not just in his hand, in action. And that'll be you guys' task the next time you're here to put him out there somewhere and
That's
see
called leading by example.
leading by.
All right, I'll be his first assistant just to get him out
Okay,
there.
then.
I'll be the first assistant.
Uh,
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for everything you do for Bermuda football and for the region. To tell you the truth,
yep.
and we want to encourage you to continue and hopefully encourage others in the region and in Bermuda to get on board and become officials and strive to become a World Cup referee or referee assistant. And if that's not the case, then as high as they could possibly go, wherever they want to go. But officiating
That's right.
is a way to also be part of any international competition because we need them in order for the competitions to go on. So thank you very very
All right.
much, and
Thanks for
look
having me.
forward to talking to you again soon. Yes, good seeing you guys. Have a good night.
Thanks for having us,
Okay.
and thanks for highlighting refereeing across the region. Continue to keep up the good work.
Thank you. Will
All
do.
right. Okay.
Okay.